You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Welcome into the Outspoken Sportscast, episode number 133, Talks on Tuesday, NBA Free Agent Tracking Edition. We got a good show for you this afternoon, talking about the free agent updates, the Demaryius Thomas news that came out today, Brittney Griner, maybe the biggest slump in baseball ever, and some NHL news right after this. Welcome back. Episode 133. My name is Craig. That's Brian. We're going to cover talks on Tuesday, cover some headlines, some NBA free agent updates, where we think maybe Harden and DeAndre Ayton, the couple big names that are still out there. We've got some news on Demaryius Thomas that broke this afternoon after the autopsy. Brittney Griner sends a letter to America and some other stuff. Brian, how you doing this afternoon?
Pretty good. I got off work pretty early today, so it's nice for a change.
Yes, sir. So the NBA free agent tracker, we had TJ Warren signed with Brooklyn. He signed a 1-year deal, so that kind of means that they're trying to fill the void for Kyrie, fill in the point guard spot. They're trying to move on, and so basically that's going to seal Kyrie's fate.
There's no way they can bring Kyrie back. Him and Steve Nash don't work.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much a wash deal.
And TJ Warren is a guy that's come on the scene really the last couple of years. Now, this last year he only played 4 games because of an injury. But other than that, he's busted out with average about 18, 19 points a game. So guy can without Kevin Durant and Kyrie, the Nets are basically kind of nothing unless they get a big package back.
As long as they don't get rid of Ben Simmons, then Simmons and TJ can 1 and 2 combine with each other.
And they're probably going to get a big package back for Kevin Durant. And
100%. When they said today they're looking for an NBA All-Star plus a plethora of picks. So you're going to get at least one more All-Star or one more starter from both of them probably. You get one starter for Durant and one starter for Kyrie. So they're going to be okay.
It'll probably be Russell Westbrook from the Lakers. For
Kyrie Irving. They say that the Nets have turned that down. I don't know if that's true or not, but they say the Nets have turned that down. I read this morning that Jimmy Butler had put on his Instagram that they had traded for the guy from Utah, the other guy from Utah. but I don't think I couldn't find it anywhere else.
You talking
The
Donovan
guard,
Mitchell?
Donovan Mitchell. They had traded for Mitchell, but I couldn't find it anywhere else, so I didn't put it in there. But it was on Butler's IG. So Patrick says, "Let's have a good show, boys. I will be listening. I will be on, but listening, so you won't have the depth of my sharp analysis."
Well, thanks there, Patrick. Thank you.
All right.
We appreciate you listening.
You got two big names that are really still out there in Harden and Ayton. Harden is supposed to meet with the 76ers. They say that deal can be done in the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
Ayton, on the other hand, there's really been no – Phoenix hasn't said anything. It's just gone radio silent ever since the season ended, and they didn't offer him the max deal. It's just basically gone silent. There hasn't been any word that they're giving him away, but there hasn't been any word that they're signing him either.
So with DeAndre Ayton, they were talking about it today on 105.3 The Fan, and you're right. There has been no feel of where he could go, but the feeling is that he is going to leave Phoenix. They say that's the way the odds are leaning, that they will trade him somewhere. There's been no rumors, though, you're exactly right, of kind of where he's going to go.
Well, I think the only way Phoenix keeps him is max him out. If they max him out, then I think he stays. Yeah. But other than that, if they don't offer him a max deal, I think he wants out.
I think there's a disconnect there.
100%. He doesn't feel respected. He doesn't feel wanted. He doesn't feel like he's part of the team. I think I think there's been a lot of people that have had trouble playing with Chris Paul. He's an all-star, but I don't think there's a lot of people as a teammate, as a guy in the locker room. Chris Paul's not a fan favorite or a teammate favorite. So that could also be the disconnect there is playing with Paul.
Oh, it definitely could be. And you hear those stories about Chris Paul, rumored that a lot of guys don't like to play with him. That could be part of it. It's weird with DeAndre Ayton. I think he's a fantastic basketball player. I just don't think watching him, he's aggressive enough with the ball in his hand.
I think he's a little bit of a prima donna. He wants the money and he wants the deal, but he wants the attention, but he doesn't want to put in the work and get better. And
he's a soft big man, basically.
Yeah, 100%. He gets pushed around the paint. Mm-hmm. He loses a lot of rebounds that should be his no matter what. Absolutely should be statistically better than he. I mean, after games 1 and 2 against Dallas, he disappeared. He was gone. I mean, here I was telling you on the show that I thought Ayton was going to just be the MVP of the series and go ham bananas on him, and did not be the case. Not only did that, he just stopped showing up. So that was very surprising. I think Harden does go back to Philly, but I mean, with everything that's going on and the Durant deal, does Harden go and does he try to call Durant and try to hook up with Durant and super team it up? And I mean, there's been rumor that the center from Phoenix has said, or from Philadelphia, Embiid has said that he wants Philadelphia to exhaust every option to get Kevin Durant. So maybe that's why Harden is waiting to see if they can get Durant and see if he needs to restructure his contract to fit Durant in under the cap or under the window.
That's interesting. I mean, well, look, it obviously didn't work in Brooklyn with Kevin Durant, and maybe that's Kyrie. Maybe that's the drama there that he brought. I honestly don't know if Kevin Durant wants to play with Kyrie Irving. I know they say they do, but
I don't know. And it didn't work with Harden in Oklahoma City, so
I'm just thinking they're saying basically Kyrie to the Lakers is a done deal, and if he goes to the Lakers, Kevin Durant will not
go.
And that's the only team that wants him.
Well, Dallas and
they say Dallas, but they don't have what do they have to sign and trade for him? We got,
nothing.
You ain't giving away Luka. You ain't giving away Luka. So And you can't do a Brunson thing with
unless
reaching,
you give, unless you do Kleba and Powell, type deal.
no, still no.
And then draft picks.
We don't have draft picks.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Mark Cuban is with his draft picks like the Los Angeles Rams. He just doesn't care for them too much. But
yeah,
look,
he doesn't use them, so he might as well get rid of them.
I could see Kevin Durant going to. I could see him going to the 76ers. I just don't. I just don't know.
Boston and Miami have kind of been the leaders in the clubhouse from what you've heard. You've heard that they have the best trade packages. Boston has all those picks. So it's interesting on how they've decided to not. There's just no movement. It was Kyrie, and they were in deep talks the other day, and now all of a sudden that's just gone. Yeah. Like the Lakers is. I mean, it's just gone. It's gone dark. That they have not.
What the holdup? What I've read and heard is that the Lakers want Kyrie Irving, and they want Seth Curry for Russell Westbrook, and they don't want to give him Seth Curry. They want to give him a different player, but he's still a good shooter, and that's kind of where the holdup is with that. As far as, and look, I don't think the Lakers can be picky because of the fact that you can't give Russell Westbrook away.
No, you have not been able to. You've offered him from. They've gone from we're not trading Russ to trying to give him to anybody that will be willing to pick up the phone and listen. And they
can't do it.
They can't do it, and so. I mean, it's basically the common knowledge in the NBA that Russell Westbrook is washed, that his career is over. And I don't know if that's the case because, I mean, before last year, he was averaging a triple-double. So I don't really know that having one bad year.
When he signed with the Lakers, I knew it was going to work.
No. But I'm thinking, I don't know if it's just the Lakers system that didn't work and caused him to have a bad year, or if he really is over the hill.
I don't think I wouldn't say he's washed. It's all about him. He's going to get his, and that's it. He doesn't work well with the team. He doesn't work well with others. He shoots like 30% from the field or the 3-point range. He's not a 3-point shooter. And in the league, if you're not a 3-point shooter, if you can't produce on the 3-point shot, you're really not that important. In today's NBA, and that's just a fact. But I just don't know. He'll go somewhere and put up numbers, but his numbers won't ever lead to winning that many games.
Yeah. I guess the teams he's been with before averaging the triple doubles, they weren't contenders. They were maybe a playoff team, but they weren't really contenders. Okay, so it came out today that the New York Knicks appear to be in a little bit of hot water, in some trouble over the Jalen Brunson deal. It appears that the Mavericks or the NBA themselves have informed the Knicks that there's going to be some penalty for tampering for the Jalen Brunson thing. Now, to me, yes, it's kind of clear that they by hiring his dad and doing some of this other stuff kind of started the process before the deal, but the NBA has this open gray area of you can talk to these guys before they're officially the window opens. So I really don't know how you can prove that this is tampering. I mean, they didn't do anything different than what some of these other guys have done.
With this, Brunson could go home and eat dinner with his dad, and you can't.
Well, no, yeah,
you can't stop that, So
100%. So maybe that's what they're getting at is you're having your business discussions inside your own family deal. It gave you an upper hand. I think the Mavs are just, if the Mavs filed this, I think they're just heartbroken that Brunson left. They're a little bit upset that they thought they had this was a done deal. They thought they had this in the bag, and then he leaves, and they're kind of trying to. Because I don't think the Mavericks get anything. I think maybe the Knicks lose some draft picks or something like that, or get fined, but it doesn't gain the Mavericks anything. I mean, it's not like they're going to get Brunson back. It's not like the NBA is going to come in and void the deal.
To me, the Mavericks have had to think that he was coming back because if they knew he was headed to the Knicks as early as we all thought he was, they could have tried to work out a sign and trade. Why would you just let this guy walk out the door
and get nothing for him?
You didn't even get a daggum face-to-face meeting with him.
Nope.
And maybe that's also some Mavericks going, you can't even give us a meeting. Well, we're going to file this grievance. We're going to do this. Nothing's going to come of it. Tampering always happens in the NBA. Nothing comes of it. Nothing will come of this. If they do, it'll be a little slap on the wrist and we'll move about our business. But here's the thing, and it's so funny because my buddy Ryan Sims, he gets on the podcast on special occasions. We did the whole draft show with him, or his top 40 list or whatever. But he's a big Dallas Mavericks fan. And he was talking about how the New York Knicks fans are just talking trash to Dallas Mavericks fans. And I'm laughing at that because the fact of this. Two reasons. One, you're the New York Knicks. You used to get superstars to come play for you and play in the Garden. That was, you used to be able to get whoever you wanted to come there. And now you cleared all this room to get Jalen Brunson. A guy that's maybe the 15th best point guard in the NBA. That is laughable.
Basically a backup point guard.
That's laughable. Number two, this guy, you first of all, when you just paid him all this money, his value dropped drastically. This guy is not going to be the guy that's going to lead the Knicks to the promised land.
No, you were betting against yourself. I mean, there was no need to go that high. There was nobody else that was even going to come close to, and the Mavericks might have gone $100 million, might have. And I think the Mavericks did that just to drive up the price to everybody else. I don't think they were really planning on going that high.
The Mavericks' mistake was they could have had him in the beginning of the season for 4 for 55. And
he
the
went
Knicks,
to them.
Yeah, and they said no, thank you. And I think he kind of felt a little hurt about that. And look, he got paid. Good for him. Great for him. My question to you, Craig, and they were talking about this on 105.3 Fans. Great question. I want to see where you kind of feeling on it. And you Maverick fans out there, are you better now than you were last season?
No.
With Brunson gone and bringing in Woods?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you have a little bit better rim presence. You have a little bit better. You've maybe solved with McGee and Wood. You maybe solved your rebounding a little bit. You maybe shored that up a little bit. You're not going to get just absolutely destroyed on the boards like you have been in the past. But I think you lost a ton of scoring. Now maybe Luka is what he's supposed to be. If Luka is the guy that makes everybody around him better and can make Wood and can make McGee better than what they've been in the past couple years, then maybe you're a little bit better. But you don't have a backup point guard unless you use this guy that you just drafted. You don't have very much depth at any position at all. You didn't expand your bench. You lost all these guys that you traded away. You say they're nothing. You say you gave away nothing for Wood, but you gave away bodies that can take some minutes in a backup role, and now you don't have that. So your depth and is Kleba and Powell, are they going to accept coming off the bench now because they were starters? Nobody's talked to those guys and said, "Hey, you willing to take an extra role?" And so we'll see what the camaraderie and the team chemistry is with these guys having to take roles.
I think you're better and it's by a fraction of
Patrick
a
said they
smidge.
should trade Mark Cuban.
You're definitely right. They should trade Mark Cuban, and I think they're better by a smidge. By a smidge, and I say that because the presence you're going to have down low. You got a guy in Wood that when he, if he shows up with 18 and 10, Luka will probably be able to get him a little bit more. I think Brunson leaving's not too big of a thing. You got Dinwiddie who can step in for a bigger role if he's consistent enough for that. But they were also talking about, and Patrick, with that comment about trading Mark Cuban, you're exactly right. And I say that because the Mavericks, they went over this today. The Mavericks have spent the least amount of money in the NBA. And that's sad. We're not a small market. You have small markets spending more money than what Mark Cuban's willing to pay. And that's the problem with the Dallas Mavericks. You have an owner that, and I talked about this after Dallas went to the Western Conference and lost. And my fear is that Mark Cuban's going to say, hey, we're good enough. We're good enough to get our team to the playoffs, and that's good enough for me because I'm not willing to spend that money. I'm not
You're
willing
good enough to go to the
in this
playoffs.
pocket. We're good enough right now to go to the playoffs. We're not good enough to win a championship. We overachieved in the playoffs this last season.
Yes.
There's no
You
denying
ran
that.
a couple perfect storms.
Yes.
Utah fighting amongst themselves and having injuries, and Phoenix just absolutely imploding on themselves. And so,
And so that's my problem, Mark Cuban. I'm not a Mark Cuban fan. Now, I think Nico Harrison, what he's done so far this first year has been fantastic with the trades. So I'm interested to see if he can get those free agents here. But so far, going into next season, like I said, a smidge better. But does that mean you're going to go to the Western Conference Finals? No. Does that mean you're going to finish in the 4th seed again? No. If Kyrie Irving goes to the Lakers will be on Vegas probably one of the favorites to win it all. They will be better.
The Lakers will be better.
The
Portland will be
T-Wolves
better
got better.
because Dame's going to play all year.
T-Wolves
Utah
will be better.
Utah will come drown because they lose.
Watch Donovan Mitchell. I don't think he's going to be in Utah next season.
And that's what I'm saying. If they lose both Mitchell and Gobert, then Utah will fall out. But then Memphis is better.
I think Memphis falls off this year. They're not going to be a 2nd seed. They're going to go down. They're probably better. They might finish better than Mavericks. I don't see them as a number 2 seed this coming year.
The Warriors are better.
The Warriors are, The West has gotten a lot better, and it's going to be interesting to see if the Mavericks can keep up with that pace.
So instead of 4, you're probably 7. I mean, you're still in, but you're probably 7.
So we'll see. But still got some NBA stuff to follow and where the chips may fall. And they're saying, I heard today that Kevin Durant decision could go well into training camp. So we might be here a long time waiting to see where he goes.
All right. That's about it for the NBA. So the news came out about Demaryius Thomas today, and the autopsy results have been revealed. And it was revealed that he had stage 2 CTE when he passed away of the seizure at 33 years of age. That, to me, probably what caused the seizure is the medical condition of the CTE. And Demaryius Thomas didn't play that many seasons. He didn't have what you would say knowingly had. He wasn't a guy that had numerous concussions, numerous games missed because of concussions. And I know the NFL is trying to do everything they can to make this game safer, but when you have a guy like Demaryius Thomas who hasn't missed a lot of games due to injury or head injury or knowing that he had concussions, and you find out that he has stage 2 CTE and dies
very fast
from that.
after not too long after he retired.
Yeah. So what are these guys like Rodgers and who've played 15, 20 years. I mean, obviously they all have it. Obviously there's, I mean, the NFL's changed the helmets and changed the rules of hitting and no crowning of the helmet and none of this and none of that. And you still got these guys that don't have any history of severe injury, and he has stage 2 CTE. So that's got to be scary for the NFL for this information to come out, that with all the safety protocols you put into effect, here's a guy at 33 years of age that dies because he's got brain trauma.
And what's really interesting about this is the wide receiver position, right? You don't think of a wide receiver position, the one that's going to be taking big hits all the time. You think when you hear CT, you're like, okay, this is a linebacker. This is an offensive lineman taking headshots every play for years and years.
Like a car crash, like you're in a car crash every play.
And the wide receiver, we feel, is more of a, dainty, fast, maneuvering kind of guy. And they do take shots, but it's not consistently every single play. So that I find interesting and scary. Look, I'm a dad of 4 girls, and I'm kind of glad that decision's kind of out of my hands. I don't have a son that can go play football, and that's scary. I have what we jokingly call my stepson, and he plays football, and he takes some big hits. He caught a horrible punt kickoff one time and got hit helmet to ribs. He broke a rib. He almost punctured his lung. Like, it's very dangerous, and I'm kind of glad that I don't have to have that decision, because I want I would want my kid to play football. I would loved it, but at the same time, you go, is it worth the risk? Because if you're not making the NFL, or hell,
how many,
even college now that they're getting paid, then is it really worth it?
How many people really have? I mean, you watch all these kids and how good they are, and there's no promise that you're going to make the NFL. There's no promise you're going to make Division I and get these marketing deals. And so, I mean, to go and put your body through that on a daily basis. I mean, I remember when I played high school football, I didn't realize it at the time, but I look back and there was a couple times where I got knocked around and dazed and, missed a couple of days of school from the vomiting and the sensitivity to light. And you didn't realize what that was from when you were 16 years old, 15, 16, 17 years old. But that's exactly what it was, is you had a concussion. But that wasn't talked about. I mean, it wasn't even a thing back in the 90s when I went to school. These guys now, they try to make the game a little safer, but it appears that these things are still happening, and they're happening obviously at a severe rate still. So that's scary. That is very scary and very sad. The NFL has to take very much close eye on this and try to make some bigger steps into padding and eliminating kickoffs and eliminating some of these plays that
full
cause
speed,
these running down the field, the punt returns and all that. Just I don't know.
Start the ball 25. There you go. Boom. Let's go.
Yeah, that works for kickoffs, but I mean, if you punt, you can't just be like, well, you automatically get it. I mean, you have block punts and and special teams like that, but I mean,
and a lot of times now that they move the football up on the kickoff, a lot of times the kickers kick it out of the end zone. It's kind of you might as well just start
these over the top head on head, helmet to helmet collisions. I know nobody wants to get ejected from a game from spearing and helmet to helmet and stuff like that, but that's going to be a rule the NFL is really going to have to monitor and really have to keep a better eye on, because these guys are going to end up, all of them are going to end up, Jim McMahon can't even, he can barely function. He drives around and he has to keep his home address in his phone GPS to figure out, there's times that he's got to hand his phone off to somebody and go, hey man, can you get me home? I can't remember where I live. And it's just so sad that guys that you watch play the game growing up, and they can't even function now. They can't even,
Right.
can't even move, can't even have a family life, can't, that's why these guys are retiring at 33 years old. You never heard guys retire at 33. And Calvin Johnson's retiring, and Barry Sanders is retiring, and Demaryius Thomas is retiring, and all these guys are retiring at 29 and 30 years old because they made their money and they're getting out where they still maybe still have a life of some kind. And man, it's just crazy.
Sad stuff.
All right. So on to
The worst slump.
Joey
Mhm.
Joey Gallo. Maybe the worst slump in Major League Baseball history. Here's a guy who came into Texas and was known for really one thing, and that was hitting the long ball. And his first season, I mean, I'll never forget his first game. The first game, he hits the first shot and it goes to the base of the wall, and they thought it was a home run and they set the fireworks off. Chuck Morgan went and hit the button and set the fireworks off because it was just an absolute rocket off his bat. And he's doubles and homers. And when he hits a hold of one, the ball's in the next stratosphere. I mean, the guy can hit the ball as hard and as far as Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge and anybody of the rest of these guys. But he's got a huge loop in his swing that obviously entire Major League Baseball has figured out. Over the month of June, he hit 138 and struck out 33 times. 33. There's a stat I saw the other day that in the last 3 years of his career, Tony Gwynn struck out a total of 32 times. And in the month of June, Joey Gallo struck out more times in the month of June in the Little League ballpark than Tony Gwynn struck out the
Very
last
much so.
3 years
Little
of his
League.
career. That is insane. How long are the Yankees going to stick with this guy before they just cut bait and go, we can't do it anymore? And the best part about it is when you look in the lineup, Joey Gallo's name is in there every day. Every day, bro. What? Who is running? If I'm Aaron Boone, go over there next to the Gatorade jug and take a seat. You're not playing. You can't hit your way out of a wet paper sack right now.
I'm sure they should probably send him down.
I don't know if he has any options. I'm going to have to look at that because to me, that has to be the reason they're not sending him down. Is you've got to get this guy. You've got to send this guy to some hitting guru. If I'm the hitting coach for the Yankees, you're going to get me fired because I can't fix you.
Look, when he was here, we loved
He
him.
didn't hit 138. He didn't strike out 33 times in a month.
No, we loved him here. We as Ranger fans tend to overhype our players and want to pay them, and I'm glad we didn't. But come back to Texas, Joey, because one, Joey Gallo does not like the spotlight. Okay, Joey Gallo.
I said that
will
from the
never.
beginning.
He refused to bat fourth and third in the Rangers lineup because he doesn't want the spotlight. He wasn't going to do good when he was trading away the Yankees. I said he's not going to do good with all the pressure on him, especially now that the Yankees are winning and looks like to be one of the best, if not the best teams in baseball. There's a lot of pressure on him. He doesn't do well with pressure. Now, I always thought when he was here, that shift, he hits into the shift 20 billion times a year. When that shift is up next year and their shift can no longer be played, I think he will be valuable. So he will be able to get on base better and do better. He's in a slump right now, and
but right now
he's
not even contacting the ball. Like
I know. I think he's not comfortable where he's at. Something's missing. I think he can still be a good player, but not the max superstar that he thinks that they thought he was when he left here.
Defensively, he's always been good.
Oh, his rocket of an arm, bro.
He's got a rocket arm. He's accurate. He can run down fly balls. He plays a pretty solid left field. He even played center for a while he was here. And to me, he's a really nice guy, and he's laid back. But you're right. The New York media, the pressure from the Bronx, and now the fact that we're winning, but we're not going to beat teams like the Astros. We're not going to beat teams like the Deal if we don't have guys that hit. And I mean, I think he's just he's absolutely feeling the microscopic pressure that he's under. The guy's under a microscope and he's folding. And I think maybe I don't even think that the Yankees, the trade deadline's coming, and I just don't even think they could get anything for him in the way he's playing. So, I mean, maybe if you're the Rangers and you want him back, go offer something small for him because they probably would take anything.
Let me put this in perspective for you. Rugi Odor is batting better than Joey Gallo, and Rugi Odor is another guy that came from the Rangers. That was one of the worst second basemen in major leagues, who we thought was amazing.
Rugi Odor was an absolute liability out at second base.
The best hit he ever had was punching what's his face
right in the face.
Right in the face. That's his best hit. That got him paid here in Texas, and we were regretting that contract.
I was there when that happened.
No, you are not.
I swear.
That is sick. That is awesome.
On the third base side and watched it happen.
I was at my brother-in-law's house, and my
kids
blew up.
My kids were like, bored and ready to go home, and then that happened, and they're like, "Is there going to be another fight?"
You're like, "This doesn't happen very often."
This doesn't, and then they drilled Prince Fielder, and I'm like, "Well, maybe."
Hold on, they're having to hold him back on the bench.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes,
that's how bad it is. It's off the rails for Joey Gallo.
Yes, I mean, it's a very, very sad situation, and it's probably one of the biggest slumps in Major League Baseball's ever seen. It used to be 200 was what they called the Mendoza line. Well, now 200, it doesn't even come into some of these guys. I mean,
that's the average.
There's teams with multiple guys hitting under 200. You used to never see one. If you were under 200, you were going to the minor leagues or getting cut. Now you got guys that are leading off hitting 212.
Yeah.
What are we doing? It's a different game, and we'll see if the shift helps him out and gets him any kind of relief. But right now, if you don't get the bat on the ball, the shift
don't matter. Yeah, it doesn't.
So,
there's something missing.
There's something mechanically that they have to get figured out. Whether they get it figured out at the minor league level, whether they take the hitting coach and takes him off to the side and gets a few games off and puts him in the cage and works on something different. He's got to figure it out because he's going to be cut. Now if he does, I hope for Gallo, being the player that he is, he catches on somewhere. But
someone will take him.
So
I have a feeling the Rangers will pick it back up.
But that to me was just a mind-blowing statistic. Was he struck out more times in a month than Tony Gwynn stuck out the last 3 years of his career. All right, so now to a story we've been talking about for I don't know,
8 months.
What feels like a year. The Brittney Griner situation. She's currently under trial in Russia for the CBD canisters or cartridges that she's had that we don't think is a big deal, and the Russians seem to think that we can give her a decade in prison. Well, we haven't heard really a lot from her. We heard that she tried to make a phone call to her wife, and the embassy messed that up because there was nobody there to connect the phone call on the other end and everything like that. Well, she's written a letter to President Biden and just America in general that basically says, I miss my wife, I miss my family, I miss my teammates, and if there's anything, basically,
if there's anything
you can do to get me out of here. Can we really do that? I think Brittney Griner sees the handwriting on the wall that she's not coming home anytime soon. And she's scared. And this has become a very big reality that if we don't come in there with SEAL Team 6 and do some night ops and snatch Brittney Griner out of the Russian prison she's in, or trade her for the executioner of doom or whatever
Whatever
whatever that cat's name is that they want to trade her for. I think she's starting to realize that this is going to be her life for the next decade. If we don't go and pull some diplomatic power and go get her out of there.
Did you see how much she was caught with? That they came out with it. 0.7 of a gram is how much she had. It's not a lot.
I mean, I'm not a CBD canister expert.
But it's not even 1 point something. It's a 0.7 of a gram. Okay.
Yeah.
They said, now this is not the funny part. None of the situation is funny. Let me backtrack. The weird part about this is they said in Russia that is usually a fine or up to 4 months in prison. So why are you trying to hold Brittney Griner for 10 years if convicted? Why has she already been in there over 4 months? This Putin says it's not a hostage situation or whatever. This is they're totally keeping her. They think that Brittney Griner is more important to us than she really is.
Yes.
And I'm just being real, guys. I'm not trying to be mean. Obviously, to her wife and her family, she means the world.
And that's not what we're talking about.
And her teammates.
What we're talking about is as a
bargaining chip for a terrorist. They want a terrorist.
Yes.
They want a terrorist relieved, and they want Brittney Griner, and it's just like, I don't know if that's really worth it. I guess that's what it comes down to. I guess I don't know.
So and it's worth it to her family, and it's worth it to her kids and
her teammates, and
teammates and all that.
Probably
stuff.
The WNBA.
But here's my problem. Here's a woman who didn't want the national anthem played at her basketball games. And you didn't want the national anthem played at your basketball games, and you're non-patriotic, and you're not, supportive of your country, but now you're in a bind, and you want the country in which you didn't want to support and represent to come bail you out. And as former military, that to me is where I have to draw the line and say, I'm sorry you're in this situation, and I'm sorry you didn't pay attention to what was in your bag. But if you don't want to support the country and support the flag, and you want to disrespect all that, then I can't justify putting my guys at risk or putting the country at risk to let go the terrorists of doom over here to bring you home to your wife and kids, because now that you're in trouble, America's important. It wasn't important a year ago when you were playing basketball and you said that the national anthem just shouldn't be played, and we don't need to have the flag, and we just want to play basketball. Just keep all the country out of it. Well, we're keeping the country out of it, Brittney. We're not going to come get you. So I understand that's probably not the popular take, but it is. Well,
that is a take. And look,
you can't not be political one minute and then you want to be political the next.
I tend to agree with that same thought. It's like the same people that say, screw the police, but then when something goes wrong, who do they call? They call the police. It's like, look, I'm fine if bringing Brittney Griner home. I just don't want to release a all killing terrorist,
top level terrorist to do it.
No, because how many lives is it going to kill if he's released? And it's like, well, look, that's for Joe Biden to sit on his butt and figure that out. It's not my thing. All we could do is, and all we can do is say that sucks, Brittney. Hopefully you get home sooner than later because no one deserves this. But
no, because
it is what it
it's
is.
100%. It's 100%. If this wasn't going on and we weren't putting sanctions against Russia and all this stuff, then she wouldn't be over there. They'd have slapped her on the wrist. They'd have taken her canisters. They'd have thrown them in the trash, and she'd have gone out about her business. We never heard this story. It was the timing of when she went and what was going on and everything like that.
And I think this really, if they want to do something about this in the future, you stop going to Russia.
Yeah.
You stop going to Russia to play games. You stop going to Russia, and that's
stop
all
supporting
sports.
Them. You stop.
That's all
you stop
sports.
sending. Stop sending. Deal over there. You stop the hockey. You stop all of it. And so 100%. So that's a sad story, but that's the update on it.
All right, Craig.
All
well,
right.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna introduce this next one since it's your segment. It's called
Yes, sir.
Craig's Hockey Hat Trick, and it's a little weird if you introduce your own segment. So, Craig's Hockey Hat Trick coming up with some NHL news.
Okay, there has been a ton more news now than almost all playoffs long. The San Jose Sharks hire Mike Grier as their GM, and that name, people go, who's Mike Grier? Well, this is a significant hire because it's the first African-American GM in NHL history. There's only been a couple players that have been African-American in the NHL. There's been really no coaches. There's been no front office. It just hasn't been the sport that has been known for that to be a popular position for these coaches and deals. So I'm very excited to see what this guy does and how he does, and given the chance to turn around what was a very good franchise who's kind of fallen on some hard times. San Jose, when they first came in the league, was one of the best hockey teams around.
Oh, growing up as a kid, I was like, man, this team is good. This team's got talent.
The San Jose Sharks were a powerhouse. Hopefully this guy can rebuild this team back to where it was. Now, there's been 2 coaching hires, and it's just so funny that you hear this. The last 2 guys that have coached for the Dallas Stars have both gotten jobs.
Yeah.
Jim Montgomery is going to be the new coach of the Bruins, and
which I didn't think he would get a new job. I didn't think
100%. He was here. He was in Dallas. We were happy. We were winning. Everything was thing. And then all of a sudden, overnight, it was like, he's got to go. What do you mean he's got to go?
Hush. They were hush, really hush.
Yes, very hush. There still, to me, was never whether or not it was gambling or whether it was not he had an affair with somebody in the front office or alcoholism.
It could be all of it.
There was 100 different little secret maybe things, but nothing ever came out. The guy just kind of went dark, went away for a season and a half or 2 seasons, and now all of a sudden he reemerges and he's the coach of the Boston Bruins. And I wish the guy the best if he's got all his life priorities figured out and because he was a good coach here. But
the only other coach in the history of coaching that has a faster playbook to get out of Dodge is Urban Meyer in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But other than that,
he's up there. So I was shocked to see that. And then the other one is shocking because Dallas just let this guy go, and Rick Bowness, and he goes back to Winnipeg where he's been before, and hey, I'm the head coach again. And it was kind of a hush.
Tire.
Huh?
Seems like a soft tire.
Yeah, I guess. But he was a soft hire here, and then he takes the team to the, cup in the bubble, and that's why he saves his job. So Bonus goes and he's the head coach for the Winnipeg Jets. Monty goes and gets a head coaching deal for the Bruins, and Dallas gets what I think is a solid guy. You know, there's been different things of how he handles goalies and how he does things, but he wins. He took a team that was an expansion team and took them to the cup. I just can't say enough about when you take a team that you pull one player from here and one player from there and you build a little makeup franchise, and you take them to the cup their first year. That's got to be. Some of the coaching has to be involved in that. Some of the camaraderie and the team and being able to get guys to play together.
Leadership.
That has to be. You just don't win as much as the Vegas Golden Knights won, and not be a good head coach. So there's that. Also, the other thing is the draft, the NHL draft, which is probably not anywhere near as popular as the NFL or NBA or MLB. But these guys play faster than the only draft that a team drafts a player and they become more of a instant help to your regular pro team is the NFL. The NFL has guys that get drafted now and they play this year. And the NHL is kind of similar. You don't see guys that have to go play in the minors, and there's some of them that do, but a lot of these guys that get drafted in the top 10 or top 15 are going to be on your roster this year.
That's good to know. So, I didn't know that, because Major League Baseball draft is pointless. I mean, you don't see this guy for
5 years.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like
it's a decade before you see that guy. So that will be interesting to see. Right now, the Canadians have the number one pick, and they still don't really know who they're going to pick. The only thing I'm concerned about is I read a story the other day that there's some guys from Russia that are being sent back over to Russia and either forced to sign with their Russian team or forced to go into the Russian military and kind of being drafted. And the only way to avoid being drafted into the Russian military is to play hockey over in Russia. So right now it only affects one. There's only one NHL player that's been affected by it. But I'm wondering that these kids that are in the draft,
if they're let them go,
if they're going to let them go play hockey, and that could be a huge thing, because other than Canadian guys that live up in Canada and play this sport as a living, Russia is the Russian and the Ukraine and over there in that part of the world are your huge name hockey players.
Yeah.
So this could be that war that is affecting the world could very much affect the NHL draft and the NHL wholeheartedly in itself, because if these Russian players start to get plucked out of the league, or they start to get upset.
Well, I mean, what happens if they say no? They're wanted in Russia. Oh well, you just don't go back, right? I mean that might be hard said and done, because you got maybe got family over there.
I don't know the situation. I think the way that this guy got plucked is maybe in the offseason he went back and visited family, and then they kind of snatched him up. Is what it sounded like when I read the article. But it's something that we're going to have to keep a very close eye on, is to the Russian government affecting American sports by making these guys go into the draft or go into to play hockey over in Russia to avoid that. And so you may lose some very big name stars in the NHL or some very big rookies that are being drafted. These guys that have worked their whole career to be drafted may not be able to be drafted because of this new draft implemented, military draft or whatever that these guys are having to deal with. So that's it for the hockey. We now go into the end of the favorite part of our show of what's in our locker. And I will let you go first with that.
Well, not much since Friday. I'm running a pretty good. I mean, I guess a good easy route. I don't know. I'm doing my job. I'm gonna have a low paycheck next week. I actually got off on Saturday this week, so I don't know how I pulled that string, but I was able to get off this week. We got Austin's birthday party for his daughter Saturday. I'm going to. Other than that, I ain't got much. Okay. This is something. NBA 2K has come out with who's going to be on the cover of this next year's game. Did you see that?
I didn't see who it was. I think I know who it should be, and that's
Who should it
probably
be?
probably John Morant.
Well, guess who it is? It's Michael Jordan, and I kid you not, because it's NBA 2K.
Oh, it's
23.
an anniversary edition.
It's 23.
Oh, okay.
But look. You could have left Michael Jordan off the cover. You should have given it to someone to be relevant in today's game. You could have given it to Ja Morant. You could have given it to the Joker. You could have given it to Steph Curry. You could have, I don't know. They're still holding on to Michael Jordan. It is what it is. But I saw something else, though, that Michael Jordan is the only NBA player in the game or only player in the game to have a 100% overall. Like his stat, he's 100% rating. So they're doing that for him. But I thought they could have been more relevant with who they picked. But that's just me. Other than that, Craig, that is all I got, man. Not much going on over here. What's up with you this week?
Been a pretty easy week. Whole lot more laid back than last week.
Oh, yeah.
And tomorrow's kind of a big day. My youngest son goes and gets his permit to drive a motor vehicle tomorrow.
Say prayers, guys.
And so
you're driving around Texas.
Yeah. So while that makes every bill in my household go through the roof, car insurance and gas prices and another vehicle and everything like that, it's something that is very exciting. I remember when it was my turn to start to drive and start to go out and get a job and work and go to school, and he's big into the band, and so he gets to now take himself to summer camp because my work schedule doesn't allow me to be here during the day to take him to these camps and everything like that. So he gets to do that. And when he wants to go play ultimate frisbee with his friends on, a night, I don't have to stay up till 9:00 to go get him and things like that. But with that responsibility also comes the worry of driving down Texas roads and dealing with the people that we deal with on a daily basis and the things we see on a daily basis. So trying to teach him from the professional standpoint of what we do on a daily basis and what we see on a daily basis is going to be my job for the next couple weeks, because he's got 2 weeks before he gets his permit tomorrow, and then he has 2 weeks before he takes his driving part of his he's taken the written part already and passed that, but he has to take the driver's part of it. And you hope that he doesn't get one of these instructors that, puts a cup of coffee on the dash and says, "Don't spill it," and
Yeah.
you hope that he gets somebody that's laid back and because he's a very mild mannered kid. He doesn't, you know, like handle people yelling and hollering and freaking out, and he just doesn't do well with all that kind of stress, and so it'll be a big situation for him to go over there tomorrow and get that done, and so I'm gonna leave work early, come in the morning, and then leave about 9:00, 9:30, and go take him over there at 10:45. And hopefully by the end of the day, we have a permitted Texas driver to cart me around. So that's about all. The week is much more even keeled. I was done by noon today, and back at the yard, and I think tomorrow will be the early day because of the thing, and then we have Thursday and Friday and Saturday. But no, it's just it's a big time for him, and he starts his senior year, and so I felt it was time that I needed to be there and get him through that and get him situated tomorrow. So I'm glad I was able to do it.
That's good. That's good. Yep. That's big time for a young teenager. I remember getting my car back in the day, and getting my permit, and able to drive, and driving everywhere, wherever I could for no reason.
It'll actually be kind of cool because when I get the truck that he's going to drive fixed, and get the new battery put in it and get the inspection and registration redone on it, it'll be my dad drove that truck, I drove that truck, and now he's going to drive it. So
nice.
It'll be pretty special for that to be handed down again, and for us to keep that in the family and keep that going. If he
can keep that going, that'll be impressive. 4 generations.
Yeah.
What kind of truck we got going here?
2005 Chevy Colorado, and it's probably in the best shape of its life, But yeah, that's kind of what we got going on my end.
Well, that's good. That's a milestone for him. So yeah, teach him the professional driving way, and not just
not just go out here and drive it as fast so the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, that's going to be it for tonight. We'll be back Friday with Jeff and me and Brian. We're going to have a top 10 NFL list, kind of a preseason ranking of your NFL teams. And that'll be interesting to see 3 of us and see what kind of difference in opinions we have on where we think the NFL teams rank with some of the moves they made in the offseason. And we'll also cover any more headlines if we have any Deshaun Watson news or NBA free agency, if there's any Durant news or Kyrie news or anything to that effect. We will cover that Friday night. Normally try to get on around 7 Central, as close to 7 Central as we can on Friday night. And it'll be me and Brian and Jeff on Friday night. So until then, be safe and God bless and keep it outspoken.